I'm short in stature, but my bones break very, very easily. I've had over 200 broken bones in my life. You know, at that young age, my mode of moving was bum shuffling, and people would probably laugh like it because it looked probably like something out of a horror story, like this little animals are just, you know, they are pure. They're completely pure. They have no malice. They have no ill doing. If anything, particularly dogs, they want to please.
Samantha, welcome to the Dog Mum podcast.
I'm so excited when we first met, and it's been a while, quite a while.
Yeah.
And I absolutely desperately wanted to get on here with you to share my story, just to hang out with you again, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, it's lovely. I think we were just talking about our own spiritual paths and how, you know, we're on a real lovely journey, and particularly now, I mean, I'm nearly 40, and you know, we're in our prime. We're in our prime. And I just feel like, for me, as a campaigner and activist, obviously someone that works a lot with disability, and that is my main love, my main passion, of course, my lived experience. But animals have always been a huge part in my life. I've recently become vegan, and it's that law of attraction, isn't it? Like, now all of a sudden, I'm being asked to do so many animal-based activities and awareness. Yeah. I was at the Cat Awards last night for the Cat's Protection.
Love that.
And I just feel like the universe is like, you want animals? I give you animals.
I'll give you animals.
So here I am, so thank you.
Thank you for being here. So I know that when we first met,
yes,
my chubby who's down there, he came straight for you, and he was like, cuddles, cuddles, kisses, kisses.
Always kisses.
And you gave him such a warm reception.
And I did the little...
Yeah, you gave him the voices. And I was like, okay, I need to speak to her. She definitely loves my dog. She's a dog mum, but she's got a story. I know you're a cat mum at the moment.
I'm a Noah's Ark of, you know, I'm just... embrace. I really want to get a goat, but that's probably a different podcast.
I mean, look, I'm a lover of all animals, and we can talk about all of them. But today, I'm particularly very, very interested to learn about your story with dogs. So before that, any little wins this week that you want to share?
Any little wins? Oh my goodness. So I think I've recently moved out of London. I was in London for 12 years, and I've just relocated to Lancashire, much more rural, much more connected with nature. But I think for me, the win is I feel a little, just in general, I feel, although I've got a really bad cold, so if I do start to sound a bit, you know, like a 40-a-day smoker, I do apologise. The taxi driver on the way in, I was like, I'm so sorry if I sound awful. And he was like, no, you sound fine. I was like, I sound like a washing machine in my head.
Yeah.
I digress. But I think for me, the wins are just, as a disabled woman, changing your location, having a dramatic change and shift in your life for the better. So it's for my mental health, be closer to family, better life for my cats, because they've now got a garden, which is fully, you know, safe. But I think just challenging myself, because, you know, it's difficult having a change so dramatic. Your safety net can be taken away. Logistically, as a wheelchair user, going from a place where you've, you know, over 12 years, learn where, you know, the accessible restaurants are, learn where the pavements are safe for your wheelchair, to then being kind of thrown into a very new environment where you have to relearn almost. So I think for me, my wins at the moment is just, things are quite heavy at the moment. There's a lot of obstacles. I'm feeling, I cry. I'm crying quite a lot, you know, inside. But knowing that I've done it already, and I can do it again. So I think just being kind to myself at the moment is my personal win. Just being like, do you know what, Samantha? You got this. As corny as that sounds, I'm like, you've got this. You can overcome this. You can do this, and you're succeeding and you're flourishing. So I think at the moment, that's how I'm feeling in my life. Like, it's a struggle, you know, logistically. I'm relearning a lot. But it's kind of in a nice way. I feel alive again. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
I completely understand. that. But to be kind is the best thing we can do for ourselves. And I love that. Thanks so much for sharing.
No, thank you.
So I know that you had a dog.
Yes.
And you have a story. So I want you to tell me a little bit about your dog and how she came into your life.
Absolutely. So just a little bit before I got my kind of first soul dog, I was born in Germany. My mum is German. My dad was British. He was in the army. She was a nurse. I always say it's like star-crossed lovers, you know. But my dad, from what I know, so my dad sadly passed away of a brain hemorrhage when I was 9. He was 38 years old. Lost him very young, but I still have wonderful fond memories of him, and most of those memories are around our mutual love of animals and him growing up with animals. From what I gather of my dad, he had an eating disorder. He had family members, his parents, that were alcoholics. He was severely dyslexic. He found mainstream education very difficult. He left school when he was 14. But his love of and passion for animals, he became a jockey actually.
Okay.
He was only like 5'7". We're all petite in our family.
Yeah.
But he instilled that into me. And I think what's beautiful is when I was born, so I was born with a rare genetic condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, which essentially means my body doesn't produce type 1 collagen. So that means that I'm a full-time wheelchair user, I'm short in stature, but my bones break very, very easily. I've had over 200 broken bones in my life. And I think when I was born, it was a shock to my parents, who are non-disabled. They don't have any disabilities. My older sister, Stephanie, also doesn't have any disabilities. And I think, you know, you look back to how men were in the 80s, 90s, you know, they were the breadwinner and they had to be the powerhouse of the family.
Very
and that, you know, very traditional. And I think my birth weighed heavy on his heart. He somehow felt responsible for me being the way I am. And you've got to understand, you know, I do a lot of training about disability awareness. You've got to understand that, you know, no one is exempt from bias, no matter what that bias may be. So we automatically think when, you know, parents give birth to a disabled child, they're all going to know exactly what to do. And they're going to be like, well, I'm not ableist.
Right.
You know, it's like my parents were ableist as heck.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? They were told that my life would be a tragedy. They were told by society that I wouldn't amount to anything. And so I think he really felt that from what I gather. Yeah. And I think his love language and his, you know, for his own journey, it was being around animals. His father helped build the M6, and from what he told me, that all the animals that unfortunately were displaced during the motorway, my granddad would bring them home, and my dad would nurse them back to health, like beautiful. Little mice. And so when I was born, we quickly moved to the UK for better support. There was a charity that dealt with my condition, so that was at the time a natural progression. But when I was about 3 months old, we also got our first dog, Tessa, a golden Labrador. And she essentially became my protector and my sister. And I've got some lovely memories of her. I've got some lovely pictures of her. But I think for me, you know, knowing that I was different growing up and knowing that I was, you know, in and out of hospital, but having a best friend, you know, that was sacred for me. Yeah. And it's interesting because when my dad passed, she died like a few months later. And even though she died from a cancer, like a tumor, she had a tumor, it was as though she died because my dad had gone and she just couldn't.
She was broken-hearted.
She was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks both of you for doing that to me. You know, childhood trauma runs deep. But I think what's beautiful is I want to instill that love and compassion and empathy for animals because I think being a child, particularly if you're different, no matter what that difference may look like, having an animal that doesn't see your skin color, your disability, doesn't see any of the things that maybe we are, you know, felt, you know, told by society we should be maybe ashamed of. They don't have that bias. And I think this is why I love animals so much. And Tessa was beautiful. So I obviously had an older sister and she named Tessa. I think it was a cartoon back in the
Okay.
And that's how she
named
loved one
her?
of the characters.
Okay.
So that's where Tessa came from. But she was so loving. She was very protective. She used to, I don't know if this is a bit mean to say, but like if I went potty, if we didn't like get rid of the potty quick enough, she'd want to try and get rid of it because she thought I was her pup.
Oh, bless
I know,
Tess.
it was like, can we get rid of the potty before Tessa like? And I just remember her, she didn't really like men. A lot of dogs can be quite sensitive to male energy, can't they?
They can.
But she would always, because I used to bum shuffle when I was a child.
Yeah.
That's how I used to get around on the floor. So I've got a really good solid bottom right now. But I just remember her standing over me if anyone would come. She was like a real protector. And I remember once she cut her paw, so she had to go and get some stitches, and I just have a vivid memory. So I must have been like 7. She was led on her little mat. She had a little mat, and she had a little paw in a bandage. And I was trying to shuffle. I was bum shuffling. I wanted to get past her. And I just remember, and it's so vivid, I just remember her, she just like moved her bandaged paw out of the way so that I could bum shuffle past. And I know that sounds like a really simple moment, but in my head, even back then, I was like, she's selfless.
Yeah.
She must be in pain.
Yeah. She's holding so much space for you all the time.
Absolutely.
And you refer to her as your spiritual dog.
Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah.
I have a spiritual cat now, but Tessa was definitely my dog, my protector. I think it's, again, I think when you're so cut off as a child, whether that is because, you're unwell and you're in hospital, or you physically can't do the things that your peers are doing. I couldn't ride a bike.
Right.
My parents were uber protective. I didn't go to sleepovers because, so having that companion, and I've got quite a big age, well, I say big age gap, I'm nearly 5-year age gap with my sister. And so, but Tessa was mine. Tessa was like, it was ours, but Tessa, we were literally months apart in age.
Yeah. So she very much felt like your emotional support.
Yeah.
Your emotional support.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that you met Tess and your relationship was when you were very young. Mm-hmm. But now when you look back, what do you think she taught you?
Gosh, that I am worthy of love, I think. I didn't quite realise back when I was younger that I'd internalised what we call ableism. So essentially ableism is the belief that if you don't fit into what society deems as normal, you are less deserving of. And so because disabled bodies are not seen as typical, that's why we experience ableism. So you don't have to be disabled to experience ableism. You can be a woman that chooses not to have children. You can experience ableism because you're maybe not seen by society as a real woman. Mm-hmm. Asylum seekers can experience ableism because they, are seen as a drain on society. But what disabled people kind of internalize is that feeling of you're a burden, a drain. And you can feel that from your own family members. Like I said, no one's excluded from that unconscious bias smog that we kind of have all around us. And my parents definitely, were on that learning journey. But I feel like I felt like a burden at times. I felt when my mum picked me up, because my mum was only petite, I felt that as I was getting older, I was becoming heavy for her to lift. Mm. I felt that my dad had this overwhelming guilt that I was born different. And that's a lot for a child to, whether you're conscious or it obviously seeped subconsciously into me. So I think having Tessa and having, an animal in general, that they allow you to have that safe space where you don't have to be accountable. You don't have to justify. I mean, you should never have to justify yourself anyway, but it's hard not to when you feel a certain way or when people project things onto you. So I think, and I feel that now, with my soul cat that I've got at the moment, I feel the same way. I feel like there's no judgment there. And I just have fondest memories with Tessa. So I have this picture of us both I'm led on her mats, like a dog mat I don't know whether you had this growing up. This is probably such like a 90s thing. You had the front room and the back room. So you had like the posh room.
Yeah.
And then you had the back room.
Yes. You had there was always 2 living rooms.
There was always 2 living rooms.
Yeah.
And you probably Christmas would go into the posh room.
Yes.
Or when you had guests over. But I think we had like a coal fire in the posh room. So sometimes when it was, a horrible, harsh winter, we would be allowed into the posh room. And Tessa had these 2 mats. And it's really minging. I used to feel like you could feel like the oil from the dog on the mat.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to lie with her. And I've got this like image. I think I might have a picture of us like spooning one another. And I'm in a silk pink pajama, and she's obviously this like beautiful golden Labrador. And around that time, I started to have scoliosis, so it's like the curvature of the spine, and I felt quite ashamed by that because it was presented to me that it was my fault for not sitting up straight, that I had scoliosis, but it was nothing to do with that. My bones were so soft that just gravity took hold.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling really ashamed of that. But I remember just curling up with Tessa. I've just got a vivid memory of feeling so sad at the time because I was so scared about, what would this mean in my back? Would people laugh at me, etc. But I just had this image of us being led up together and just having that safe space.
Yeah. What strikes me is how early Tessa was in your life, but how profound.
Yeah. Core memories.
Yeah, really. And I can really see it in your face. Like it's
I can see
deep.
It. Yeah,
it's very, very deep. And that takes me to, the benefits that dogs actually give you. From an emotional, physical, there's so many amazing benefits that they give you. What would you say that now, if you could thank Tessa for anything now, what would you say to her?
I would say, thank you for being my best friend. Thank you for being a constant. Thank you for navigating our complex family with grace. I think my dad was, like I said, he was a troubled person and he had anger issues. But I feel like Tessa would sometimes get the brunt of that anger. I don't mean physically, but definitely verbally, And I feel like she pacified a lot of that hostility. So thank you. I would say thank you to her for taking that, taking that. I'm going to cry.
Yeah, me
crying.
too.
My makeup.
It's okay. I can really, yeah.
What are you doing to me?
I can really feel it. I know it's deep. It's when you have that kind of connection with your dog, it just never leaves you. It will never leave you. And this is why I do this podcast, because people need to tell their stories. They do.
Oh my goodness. But I have a funny story. So even though our family, like my dad was like the alpha. My dad was like play fighting with my mum once, and sorry, very sniffly, and just play fighting. But Tessa didn't really know what was happening, and because I think my dad picked my mum up, and I remember this. And she was so confused. She was barking, and they were just like winding each other up. And Tessa eventually bit my dad's bum really hard that he actually couldn't sit down for a while, like protecting. And I just think that just goes to show, like, my dad, because my dad was this, military man. Like, our house was ruled sometimes by an iron fist. Like for her again to be like, I'm going to sacrifice potentially whatever consequence I might get, to protect the women in the house. Obviously nothing happened because they were play fighting and it was a joke, but I do vividly remember her being like, I don't know what's going on, this needs to stop, I need to protect.
Yeah. Well, that protective instinct that they have is incredible.
Yeah.
Really incredible. Now, did Tessa pick you, do you feel, in terms of, were you her favourite in the house?
Gosh, that's interesting. I think because we were similar age, I think so. I think she was also there for my sister. Do you know, it'd be really interesting to talk to my sister and ask my sister the same questions, because me and my sister, we didn't get on very well growing up, and that was because she saw me and my disability as something that was stopping her from living life. So, for example, you know, if we couldn't go ice skating because the ice skating ring wasn't accessible, my parents were like, well, we just won't go.
Right.
And I think for a 7-year-old
She
or
didn't
whatever, she
understand.
was like,
Yeah.
I hate you, you know.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of, we weren't close siblings. And I think that's what's nice having a dog in the mix, because you want to have that real close bond with your sister. And when you don't really have it growing up because of something like that, like there was a hostility and that, you know, a biggish age gap, it was nice having an animal around. So that's interesting. I don't know whether I was like the preferred one. I think I've never known life without. So I grew up with the Tessa. So, but I would love to get my sister's take on that, actually.
Yeah, definitely speak to her. You might be surprised. I think also they say that a dog always picks one person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's always that one. I mean, there's lots of theories that it's the one person that feeds them, but I don't believe that. I believe it's the person that they feel most connected to, and also, from my perspective, the one that they've come to look after. And I feel very much like that with Chubbs.
Yeah.
Chubbs came into my life to look after me
Yeah.
at a very, very dark time. Yeah. And I definitely feel that from this story with Tessa. And again, I'll go back to, I mean, how old was Tessa kind of when you were, how many years did you have with Tessa?
So my dad died when I was 9, and I think Tessa died, so that was the November. So I think she was 10 when she died. So not a long time, because it was just not long after my dad died.
Right.
And if we, I think Tessa we're about the same age. So that would make, yeah.
So a good 9 years.
Yeah, a good 9 years.
Tessa.
But I think that's average for a lab. They can sometimes have health issues. But it's interesting. So I've got I know this is a dog podcast, but I do feel like there's maybe that element of the reincarnation in my cat, Lola.
I was going to ask you, do you think this?
She is spiritually on it, like with me. We're just, I've never known love like that before. Then I've never
get it. Yeah.
And people think I'm a little bit loopy-loo, but I've literally left my Shoreditch apartment in London to relocate. Yes, granted, 4 things for me, but I'm not gonna lie, mostly for the cats.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, genuinely.
If I was to tell you half the things I do just for Chubbs. Yeah, I understand you.
Yeah, so I think that there might be a crossover with Tessa and Lola, because they both have that kind of mothering, protective. Oh, super protective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. The fact that you can recognize that. And now when you see dogs in the street, and I know that because people think you've got to be a cat person or a dog person.
No.
Not true. You can love both.
So I hate it when people go, you're either a dog or a cat. I'm just like, if you love animals, you love animals. For me personally, like I struggle when people, and maybe it's because I feel like as a disabled woman, I get judged on and objectified, and I feel like that's objectifying animals. They're all sentient beings,
right?
So for me, it's about what we talked about. It's about energy rather than the shape.
Definitely,
you know?
Or the breed, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
what you put in. It's what you put into them, and I hate it now that, because like people say to me, "Oh, are you a cat person?" I'm like, "No, I'm an animal person." Like I would have a menagerie in my house if I could. Lola's so protective of me that, God bless her. Like we're gonna have to wait until Lola, is no longer with us for me to kind of have my Noah's Ark, because she just wouldn't do it.
No.
But no, I'm grateful that I grew up with dogs, because I think the physicality, having grown up with a big dog, and that after Tessa, my mum and stepdad had Ollie, who was a staffy. So again, strong. And what was interesting about Ollie, even though Ollie wasn't technically my dog, he powerful dog, Staffy, but they're a nanny dog, and he knew my strength was not the same strength as other people. And the way he physically would be around me was incredible to see. You know, physicality is like just not boisterous, understood.
Right. They're so clever.
Yeah.
They're just so intuitive, aren't they?
They are.
And I love that contrast as well between Tessa, who definitely seemed to be there for you on an emotional point of view. And then you've got Ollie come up next. He's like, I'm holding space for you, but in a different way.
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that I'm gentle and I'm soft. And I understand that that's what I need to do.
Absolutely.
I love that. So in terms of Tessa, because I feel Tessa. Tessa's energy is strong.
Have you seen it? I'll have to send you a picture. Did I send you a picture?
No, I need to see her. What do you feel like she's taught you about independence, resilience, and love?
Oh my gosh. Again, I think just, you know, feeling that love as a child when I didn't feel any love at times. And I don't mean that in a kind of violin moment, in terms of I became very, very hyper aware at a very young age that I was different. And I don't think that's healthy for a child. I'm talking young, 6, 7. Like I just became very aware. So I think for me, just as we said earlier, not having to justify myself in any way, shape or form, even my body or how I move, like even, and we see it with dogs now, like with my wheelchair. I'm in a power chair today. I'm in a manual chair at home. When I was younger, I used to bum shuffle. Like being allowed to physically be in different spaces, and again, not feel like you're taking up space or people are glaring, or I'm trying to put it into words, but I think I get it, you know, at that young age, my mode of moving was bum shuffling, and people would probably laugh like it because it looked probably like something out of a horror story, like this little like you know, toddler like this. But again, not being authentic, being able to be authentic around animals is liberating. I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
and I think from an early age, when I had to conform because I had to start going to school. So I couldn't bum shuffle at school. I had to be in a wheelchair. And I was the only kid in the wheelchair. So being at home in my safe space around a dog that wasn't going to like all of a sudden freak out because I'm crawling on the floor, you know? And just I think she was even there like when I would try and like do things like try and climb on the sofa, and she'd be very protective of that. You know what I mean? Like not liking that. But even just not putting their whole weight on you. I always remember things like that, just knowing.
It's almost like she aided your independence, actually. She enabled you to explore and then be there as a cushion.
Yeah. And one of my cousins, Georgina, she has Down syndrome and other complex needs, so she's nonverbal. And God bless her, again, you know, Tessa would put up with a lot of pinching maybe, or, you know, trying to pull the whiskers and just, but no retaliation, just that knowledge that I was different, quote unquote. Georgina was different, but we weren't a threat.
The unconditional love remained throughout, should I say. Yeah. She just was like, I love you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And in terms of just animals and dogs in general, let's talk about that unconditional love, because obviously you have your cats now and you've had Tessa and even Ollie. I'm sure you saw that in him as well. How does that genuinely make you feel?
Again, just thinking about being in my own space, in my own home, and, you know, interchanging between like a power chair and a manual chair, and, you know, the cats, they have a ride on my power chair. Like they don't see it as an obstacle, they just see it as an extension. And even like, so say if I'm in bed and I have my manual chair next to my bed and I want to so the cats like to sit in my chair, particularly if I've had like my bottom on it and it's still nice and warm or whatever. But they'll sit on it, and then when I'm on the toilet, they like to come and then they sit on it and watch me like this. But as soon as I don't even have to say anything. Sometimes I say jump and they get off it. But even if I just start to transfer, they know that they need to get off my chair. And I just find that fascinating. And I find that, you know, they see how other people move on two legs, but their mummy's doesn't move like that. But there's no fear. There's no kind of, it's just their norm and they're so chill about it. Whereas when I go out into, you know, on the street, people will look and they will glare and they will, whether it comes from because they see me on the telly and they want, you know, they get excited, or whether they're just being a bit ignorant and a bit rude or a bit, you know, horrible in their look. So I think being unapologetic in my own space is something that I really appreciate.
Many people with disabilities have therapy dogs,
yes.
Or assistance dogs, service dogs. What do you think the difference of having a therapy dog or a service dog and you having Tessa was?
I don't think there is a difference, is there? I just think we've recognised and we've evolved as humans and we've recognised how important it is to vocalise and speak more openly about mental health. And we recognise that, you know, disabled and neurodivergent individuals are more vulnerable. And I use that word, it's a bit of an icky word, but what I mean is we are more susceptible to mental health issues because we are living in a world that essentially isn't designed for us. So I think it's a no-brainer that we have emotional support animals. And for all the reasons that we've spoken about today, animals they don't have prejudice. Animals can sense kind, loving humans. And I, you know, not to kind of like, you know, kind of say that all disabled people are these angelic loving beings, because we're not, because some of us are arses, you know, like everyone.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, for me as a person, a disabled woman, you know, who's not known a life without a disability, I would say that I am definitely more empathic because I've had to be, you know, and I hope that my friends would say that that's one of my positive attributes. So I think animals can definitely pick up on that good nature. But, you know, it can be incredibly isolating and lonely when you have a disability, and having that consistent companion, you know, is beautiful. Like, you know, I'm finding it now as a nearly 40-something-year-old woman. A lot of my friends are married with kids, you know, so I found myself even more lonely and ostracized in some respects.
Feeling isolated.
Yeah.
And,
you know, in my 20s, I had all my gay friends and you know, they're still there, don't get me wrong, but we've calmed down and like people just have their lives, and this is not like I'm not being, you know, kind of a slur on anybody. Like your life changes. And I think when you're disabled, I've always said that my life is kind of 7 years behind all my peers. And I don't mean that in terms of what I've achieved, but it's taken me so much longer. So I want to achieve something. And I never feel lonely when I've got animals. So I think when you're talking about assistance dogs and so forth, I mean, I've got a lot of visually impaired friends, and I see how, you know, their beautiful animals are there for them. And it's not. I think you should definitely get someone on who is blind or visually impaired to talk about their experience, because I think you need to hear it from them. But I think again, it's a shame some of the narrative that comes out of that is, you know, we shouldn't be using animals in that way, et cetera, et cetera. Now that I'm a vegan, like obviously I look into more animal welfare. So it's a bit of a grey area. Some people don't necessarily believe that we should have guide dogs, like we shouldn't be using that. But I think quite the contrary.
Yeah,
I feel
same.
like animals need stimulation for starters.
Yes.
I had behavioural issues with one of my cats because he was bored. He was super intelligent, but he was bored. And we are programmed to believe that cats are not intelligent, same as dogs. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I started to teach him tricks and things, his behaviour changed. So for me, you know, as long as you invest in that animal and you have mutual respect for that animal, there can be no bad relationship. But yeah, it'd be really interesting if you do manage to get someone to come on who is visually impaired, who does have a dogs for for the blind, service dog. That'd be really. I've got a lot of people that you can interview, so I'll ping them your way.
Yeah, see how they navigate life, because that's really interesting. But interestingly, so for me, why I asked that question was because it was very apparent to me that Tessa was your unofficial therapy dog.
Yeah,
your assistance dog. In a very young age. Now, what do you think life would be like if you had a service dog?
Gosh, and it's something that I have looked into, if I'm honest. I think that's something that I'm going to probably have down the line as my own needs become more. So, you don't get stronger as you get older necessarily. And I've already started, as it is, like, irrespective of disability, you start to make your, picking something up off the ground, like
takes 20 seconds longer than it used to.
So I think definitely I see a dog in that capacity in my future. Absolutely. But I think at the moment, emotionally, having just any animal present at the moment, because I've got a beautiful park on my doorstep, so and it's a nightmare every time I go to the park because I never get anywhere. I just want to go and grab a coffee, and then I'm just like, all the animals, the dogs, all the animals, there. And they're like, just come to me. But you know what's really interesting as well? So I've started. Some dogs do not really like the power chair because apparently it can have a high.
They can hear.
They can hear.
Yeah.
Not 90% of dogs are fine, but the odd one I do find. I was in a cafe just a few weeks ago, and I moved my chair, and I was quite a few feet away from a young dog. It started really barking at me, and as the owners were leaving, I said, "Can he come or she come over and have a sniff of the chair?" I think it's important we educate our dogs so they're not fearful. Because obviously, from their point of view, they were like, "Oh my god, my dog's barking at the lady in the wheelchair. How embarrassing!"
Yeah, they feel awkward.
They feel awkward. Yeah. It's like and I'm like, but I want them to come up. I want them to. I don't need to touch the dog, but I want them to sniff the chair. I want them to get comfortable around. Having a wheelchair.
That's really interesting. Almost like educating the dog the other way around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think anyone listening, if you're ever in that situation. And you're worried that your dog may interact not necessarily in a positive way with a wheelchair user, definitely ask that person if it's okay for them to get up close and see what all the fuss is about.
Exactly.
I would say that most wheelchair users would be more than happy with that
to do that.
Yeah.
So obviously, being a wheelchair user, what do you think some of the biggest barriers, if you did have a dog or somebody that is out there that has a service dog, are in a city like London or, a big city like Manchester? What are the barriers, do you think?
I think logistically, it depends on the size of the dog. I think logistically, I would like to be able to pick that dog up if I need to.
Sure.
And put it on my foot plate or however I need to do that. I think I already sometimes feel like I take up too much space as a wheelchair user because not everywhere is designed, and I feel like my reasonable adjustments are already a bit too much. So that does worry me, but that's my own, again, internalized feelings.
That's your own,
I used to work with drivers. I'm not going to say what company, and they had a very negative view on assistance dogs. They didn't understand that by law that you have to take an assistance dog.
Oh, okay.
So logistics like that, like are people aware of the law? And
Okay.
will I have to advocate
and
even
explain
more?
yourself all the time? Yeah.
I think so. But also, I have, again, I have been to some venues and it's been really, really loud and really overstimulating. And I have seen service dogs and I know it's their job. Because I'm just like such a softie. I'm like, oh my God, do I need to protect the doggy's ears?
Yeah, yeah.
That would be my own little like, are you okay? Are you warm enough? Have you,
Yeah.
I think toileting might be something
To think about.
But my life is always like I always say, and a lot of disabled people will relate, it's like a risk assessment every time you go out of the house anyway. So like adding one more, and it's the same with children, I would be a great mum, but like, and I'd be able to overcome any kind of like barriers or whatever I have to. It would be hard work, I'm not denying it, but you just do, don't you?
Yeah, you make it work.
You make it work.
You
but
do.
I think it would be I am my most anxious when I'm taking public transport or when I am traveling on my own. So there have been a number of times where I'm like, I wish I just had a little companion there just to be there so I can have that zen moment.
To bring the oxytocin in and reduce the cortisol.
Yeah.
Just
absolutely.
make it all just a lot more relaxed and reduce your anxiety.
The first time I did take Lola on a train, I put her in like a little rucksack. I had to take a diazepam because I was more nervous than her.
You were worried for her.
I was worried for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so worried for her. And she did. And interestingly, so I put her on the table in the train in her little bag. And as long as I had my hand in the bag with her, she was fine.
Oh,
I know.
she just needed that reassurance. We all need that reassurance, don't we?
I know.
And this is it. I mean, reassurance. That's a big word today.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like hit me.
Yeah.
Reassurance. What reassurance do animals overall give you?
That I don't have to. I'm a people pleaser, and I don't feel like I have to people please with the cats. They've taught me, or with any animal, they've taught me, I guess, that I don't need to overcompensate for love. I still do. Like they get everything. Like my pets get everything. Like
that's because they're your babies.
Yeah. But I think that's what they've taught me is like I overcompensate with humans because I'm so fearful of them leaving me. I'm so fearful of, and we spoke off camera, off mic'd up. We spoke about having care workers. I've got care workers, and them not necessarily always being right for the job, not having my best interests at heart, even though they're in the care profession. But I often feel I have to pander to people's needs because I'm so fearful of them being disgruntled or leaving, and then my independence is obliterated.
Right.
So I'm constantly in this fight or flight state. I'm constantly, can I say, pussyfooting around people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't feel like that with animals. I still overcompensate because I love them. But
it's coming from a different place.
Yeah, it's coming from a different place.
Yeah.
And so when I had behavioural issues with Bruno, when we were in London living in the small flat, he just was miserable. And it broke me as a human. The fact that I wasn't able to give him what they give to me broke me. You ask some of my friends, like my close friends, and they will tell you that was a dark time for me. Because I felt all of a sudden this responsibility of being their parent. And then, like you said, like bringing me out of a very dark mental health hole. And them, one of them not being happy with where they were. And I've done everything to reciprocate that. But I think this for me, and where it aligns with me and my values and my morals as a human, I don't see the difference in species. I don't see that. I see we're all here together. And we're all trying to make the best of it. So that word respect, like I will respect you as much as you respect me. And I think it's never a two-way street because the cats and dogs and all animals have way much empathy
They do.
and compassion than any human can, because they're not corrupted.
This is it. They're pure.
Pure.
They are pure.
That's, what was it? I read something, I don't know, just like someone had their life taken from them, and then they also killed their pets. And a lot of the comments were, oh my God, more in favor of the pets. And then a lot of people were like, the dude died. Like, why do we give monkeys about the pet? And it's like, but that's what you're saying. Like, we're humans, we're sinners, at the end of the day, not to get like too biblical about it, but we're not the best. So if we're not the best,
no,
we've
got to work harder.
We've got to work harder. And animals are just, they are pure. They're completely pure. They have no malice. They have no ill doing. If anything, particularly dogs, they want to please.
They do. They're pleasers.
More. Yeah. They are pleasers. So
I mean, you touched on something in terms of basically being a pet parent.
Yeah.
And that so one thing for me is I also don't have children. And Chubbs is basically my child, and anybody that, knows me knows that this is literally my child. And I don't see him any other way than people see their human kids.
Yeah.
There's no difference to me. One thing though, I can see that you feel the same way about your cats, for example. And obviously you were a lot younger when you had Tessa, but you feel that emotional connection.
Yeah.
Tell me more about the emotional connection.
I mean, they are. I've got a bit of a saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think that about a lot of things, about having children, about being a pet owner, you know, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Agreed.
And, having any animal in your world is a big commitment and a big responsibility. And not everyone should necessarily be doing that because, like I said earlier, they deserve the respect and the boundaries. And I think one thing that I really struggle with is I've spent a lot of time looking at behavioural patterns of animals and looking at cute signals of the animals, whether they're happy, whether they're stressed, and again, respecting boundaries. And that for me is a big part of me being a pet owner, a pet lover, is respecting those boundaries and understanding that we're the ones that have brought them into our world.
Right. That's a very good point.
It's probably not even answering your question. I'm like deviating.
No, it is.
But I think that's a big responsibility, and I don't actually think people take that responsibility. So at the award ceremony I was at last night, they said that, the amount of under 35s that are having cats now has really soared. But they're all going for pedigrees. They're not going for rehoming. They're all going for... But the 70% more people are handing in their cats, their pets. It's gone up that much.
For rehoming?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I struggle with that.
Yeah, same.
I'm an empath. Again, people are going to be like, oh, she's going to be...
No, I'm an empath too. I get it.
So I'm an empath, and I'm an empath with animals, not as much as with humans. Or I probably am with humans, but I've not tapped into it. I know, baby. And I'm an empath. And he just did the biggest sigh. I don't need to be an empath to understand that you are...
What's up?
You're done.
Talk to me.
It's my snotty nose not calming you.
I'm tuning into him. 1 second. I want to see what he wants. You want to come and sit with mummy? You want to come up? Yes, you're letting me know. Okay. All right, we're going to get you up. From your perspective, what would you say one of the biggest challenges that disabled dog owners have? And I'm talking broader. I mean, we've spoke about kind of access and kind of logistics, but I'm thinking about things like housing, accessing vets and things like that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I did a while back a podcast with a friend of mine, James Greenwood, who's an amazing vet, and we spoke about very similar to what we're talking about, how animals have enriched my life and so on and so forth. And we were talking about some of the challenges, and I was trying to give people tips and tricks on how to be a disabled pet owner, to overcome perhaps some of those barriers. I think, so for one, let's start from the base. You touched upon housing. In the UK, only 9% of homes meet any access needs, basic access needs.
9%.
9%, right? So one of the reasons, again, why I moved out of London was because I was in a social housing, because that would be the only place that I could adapt my home. I couldn't privately rent. So even if I had the financial means to privately rent in London, which, good luck to you, I couldn't, because a landlord or lady would not allow me to adapt. So you're already working with a very, very limited, kind of pot to where disabled people can inhabit. So if that means that your landlady or housing association doesn't allow animals, then that's not going to happen. I think that's a real disservice.
Yeah,
I didn't ask to not be able to just go and move wherever I want to. That is a systemic issue. Yeah. I mean, I don't care. I don't live here anymore. But essentially, when I got Lola, I didn't actually ask ask the housing association.
Yeah, you just got her.
I just got her.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care. At the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're going to evict me. Where are they going to evict me to? Like I said, this is not through choice. I'm not like, I got her from my mental health. I don't have the option to move somewhere else. So I think that's one of the biggest hurdles. None of my local vets were accessible. So I didn't have step-free access. So I would always have to send my support assistant with my pets, which is horrible.
Because you want to be there.
You want to be there. Yeah. Luckily, where I live now, my vet is in walking distance and they are accessible.
Amazing.
Yeah. So another good reason to kind of move. But that logistics, but also when your health deteriorates, because that can happen when you have a chronic illness or a dynamic disability, having that backup plan, I think, is really important. But I don't think it's out of the realms of being feasible. As I said to you, like disabled people are constantly having to think of plan B, plan C, plan D. So for a lot of disabled people, having a pet and having to understand that they have B, D, C, what happens if I can't get out of bed? For me, I've got automated pet feeders. So always have that backup. And I just think that, this is why I always encourage disabled people that, you are going to be good pet owners. But we are often swayed. We often put off because it's like, well, you can't look after yourself properly. How are you going to look after an animal?
Because the animal's actually looking after you too.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street,
of course it is.
Yeah.
But again, humans are the ones that let them down. I feel like I have got so many plans in place for my pets that I never worry about a scenario, But it has crossed my mind, like, oh my God, what if they're choking? How am I going to get, in my head, I've done the visual, like, I'm going to have to commando roll out of my wheelchair onto the floor. I've done it. I've literally done it. I've got a plan in place. If I need to resuscitate my animals, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to park up next to my sofa, get onto the sofa, put a cushion on the floor, get onto the floor, and bum shuffle to the pet and do what I've got to do.
Yeah, so you're constantly overthinking everything and planning.
Yeah.
So an interesting one. And what about basic things like going to the supermarket with your assistance dog and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's just about knowing your own rights. I always say, for me, when I'm saying to any disabled and neurodivergent individual, know the law. Know your rights. And it can be really intimidating because, particularly when you're a woman as well, people don't like being told that they aren't meeting the law. We often think in this country that accessibility is just a moral thing to do. No, it's the law. I could sue every person or establishment on this street that doesn't have step-free access. But the problem is I'd have to go through civil court.
Right.
Which means that if I lose, I've got to pay for it. So that's why. So when we hear everywhere should be accessible nowadays, and it's not. But the reason why it's not is because disabled people don't have the finances or resources to be taking people to civil court left, right and centre. We've only been friends for a very short period of time and you've already seen the logistics of, you know, getting us to this point where we can have this conversation. It's not been easy.
No.
So I think know your worth, know your rights, advocate for yourself.
Know the law.
And know the law. I think those are the main things. And I know that's a real big ask, because disabled people, and I've experienced it myself, and I'm a confident, loud, brash person. We are gaslit. We are gaslit a lot, and that can be really overwhelming, you know. I think it's difficult. I think when we're talking about dogs and assistance animals, so this is the grey area, and I'm not saying I've got the solution for it. Anyone can get a jacket for their dog that says assistance dog.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, there's a small group of people that have essentially screwed it for the rest of us.
Yeah, abused it.
Abused it, that's the right word.
Yeah.
And I am not here because, as we know, not all disabilities are visible. Not all disabled people on benefits. So it's not like we can go, this is my disability card. Like, contrary to popular belief, there's no database, there's no registry. You don't register disabled.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
We often get confused because you hear registered blind.
Right.
And that is a thing, right?
If there is somebody out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's many people that are considering getting a therapy or an assistant or a service dog, and they are in a wheelchair or have any other kind of disability, what would be your checklist?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of organisations that would obviously help you facilitate that. I think, irrespective of it being a support dog, official support dog, I think any pet is a support animal. So, you know, adopt, don't shop. I think that's a big one. You know, there's so many animals out there that absolutely need loving homes. I think I would say that, first of all, you know, don't let other people get in your head. So if you've got maybe members, you know, caregivers, family members or friends who doubt your ability to be that, you know, good dog owner or pet owner in general, just take a step back and recognise what you have achieved. But also have an honest word with yourself. As I mentioned earlier, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And it's a two-way street. Any relationship non-stop is a two-way street. And that extends to being a pet owner. So I think have a really honest conversation with yourself, because, you know, once that animal's there, it is your responsibility, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. So just have those honest conversations. Drown out the noise from other people. But if you actually sit there and in your heart of heart and go, do you know what? This might not be the right time for me now. Or there's still elements of my life that I really want to get stronger in or work at. Maybe be really honest and reflect on that. But if you feel like, yeah, this is the right move for me, do what you would do if you are maybe going on holiday or maybe starting a new job, or if you've been invited to a party to somewhere where you're not familiar with, an area what you're not familiar with. Do that little recce, do that little checklist. You know, what happens if I'm rushed into hospital? So, for example, for me, I've got a key safe outside my house so that caregivers can access my house, or if I've got like a pendant, so if I have a fall I can press it. And already in my head I'm like, I need to alert them to the fact that there's cats in the house, and they're indoor cats and they can't let them out. So have a plan, you know, have a written plan. Tell people about your plan.
Yeah, because there's no point it being in your head.
No, tell me in your head. Absolutely. You know, tell people. But also, a big thing for me, because I do have, you know, PAs, support people, when vetting them, be really sure that they're animal people.
That's a really good one.
That's something that I didn't think quite enough about. And also, when people say, oh yeah, I'm fine with pets, and then they're not. I think so, I mean, I do come across as a little bit of a weird cat lady when I'm interviewing people. I'm like, no. You've got to understand that they will jump on you. They will potentially hiss at you. They will potentially not get on with you straight away. They can't go out the front door. Like, you've got to be really explicit about what your expectations are from others with your animals. So it's all well and good you knowing what expectations, but you need to make it very clear with other people, because can you imagine someone else, and this is still a worry for me when I'm like leave and I've got like caregivers maybe going into my house when I'm not there, the fear of them being idle,
right,
and leaving that door open,
right.
leaving that window open. So for me, it's about vetting people and knowing that they are truly animal people.
You've just brought up a really good point, actually. So we're always talking about what we have to do when we're looking at, getting a assistance dog, for example. But as somebody that needs support through a disability, it's looking at, okay, I love animals. We need to also really put the time in to vet the people, like you said. Now, if somebody had to put a little checklist together for that and they're like, okay, I need to make sure somebody really can look after my dog, what would that list look like?
Oh my goodness. So I think just how they behave around that animal, like, you can tell when someone really loves animals and whether they just tolerate them. So I think for me, it's more about, rather than a checklist, it's a feeling from people. And it's difficult because when you are hiring someone, what I would say is, don't make a decision until they've been in your space on more than one occasion. Get them in your home, get them in your space, because my Lola is very territorial of me, very protective of me. And all the people I've hired to begin with, she's absolutely hated every single one. She's warmed up to them, but she's been a sassy little madam with them. She is like, who are you? Why are you around my mummy? I am going to give you hell until you've proven to me.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like my witchy woo-woo, my sixth sense, I'm like, if that doesn't pass, you're not my person.
No, you're not my person.
So I think going back to your point, really get in the interview process, get a feel like, so tell me about your own pets. And you'll get, so I don't know, just one of the ladies from the agency that I work with, she's not my personal PA, but she started following me on social media, and the first thing she said, she was like, oh my God, who's that beautiful baby? And I was like, what? And she was describing Lola.
Okay.
Just straight away, I'm like, you're my person.
The way that she even spoke about her.
There's a difference between tolerating animals and
there is
respecting animals.
I would think as well, though, they would need to have some practical skills. They should know how to walk a dog, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feed them.
Absolutely.
Like
and
the basics.
The basic, so know where the cats are in the home, or the dogs are, where their sacred space is, how they interact with other dogs, and have a contingency plan. So if you are rushed into hospital, know that there's an animal there that might need support. Know how to physically lift them and handle them. Know where their, in an emergency, know where their carry bags are if they need a carry bag.
Yeah.
Know where their medication is.
Where their vets are, where they're registered.
Where their vets are.
Yeah.
But I think it's about, again, getting a feel, always have people come into your space, rather than maybe, you can have an initial Zoom conversation or telephone conversation, but they need to be in that space. And you need to see them get down to that animal's level.
Yeah.
Because I've got Sphinx cats and they need additional grooming. They need bathing. And they don't, contrary to popular belief, don't believe what you see on TikTok or whatever, where they're bathing these cats and dogs and they're loving it.
It's horrendous.
No, they don't want to be. It's not normal.
No.
So just getting a feel for that as well. But always having that contingency plan, and getting to know, like I said, their boundaries, getting to know their body language, where to touch, where you can pet them, where you can't pet them.
Yeah, really important. We have to know them as much as they know us. Like now, I can see that Chubby's probably needing a bit of fresh air now, aren't you, Chubbs? You might need a little snack. His ears are moving. He wants to get on these streets.
I know.
Don't you, darling?
I know.
You want to get on the streets. So going back to the wonderful Tessa, who I cannot wait to see a picture of. I can't wait. So if she had a voice, because we were talking about Chubbs actually earlier off camera, that I think he's like from the South. He's like dapper,
Yeah.
a gentleman. What persona, voice or kind of characteristics do you think Tessa would have had if she was human?
Very soft-spoken, very calm, very homemaker. Yeah, I think so. Very calm, like not a not like a boss woman.
Mm-hmm.
More of a mother, a homemaker,
maternal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then switching gears, what dog breed would you say describes your own personality?
Oh my gosh, that's so difficult. You want to go for something small because I'm petite and probably people are like, oh, you're going to be a Chihuahua, but I don't think I would be.
No, you're not giving me Chihuahua.
I think like a bigger dog. A husky just popped into my head, but I don't know whether that's appropriate. Like, no, so I just had a flash of a husky.
What is it about a husky that you feel is similar to your personality?
Determined, strong, carries physically a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You think of them on the carrying the sleighs, if you will, but being really kind of beautiful to look at. So I'm not just saying I'm beautiful to look at, but what I mean is
you are.
What I mean is mesmerizing, and but also being a dominant kind of
like holding the room.
Yeah, holding the room. Yeah,
having that presence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Although I met my friend Eve's got a beautiful husky, and the first time I met that husky, they are intimidating.
They definitely
not in a horrible way, but I felt
their presence is strong.
It
is strong.
And I was like, wow, you are a big.
It's that wolf energy.
Yeah, it's the wolf energy.
It's the wolf energy that they give.
Yeah, and I kind of want that. I hope that people get that from me. Like, not to be scared of me, but I want them to take notice that there's a shift.
Yes.
I feel like I love my disability. I think it's a gift from above. I never see it as a hindrance. I feel like this is my unique selling point, and it makes me who I am. And I, would never change that for the world. I never see it in any negative light. Definitely not now where I am. And yeah, so I kind of like that's what I want to. That's my purpose. So I think a dog who has purpose would be a dog that I, represent, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. And when you're not being like animal lover extraordinaire.
Oh, that never turns off.
I mean, look, there's moments. So what does Samantha like to do at home? What's kind of your routine in the sense of like, what are the things that make you smile outside of animals?
I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan.
Love it too.
Yeah. I'm actually going in next June because I turn 40 next year. I'm going to Hellmouth Con in America.
Oh, I love that.
I know. So guys, if you want to come and join me in America. So Buffy's my little go-to. I recently gotten into fitness. Although I'm like snotting all over the place at the moment. I've been doing strength fitness each morning, which has really kind of grounded me. I need my routine to feel safe. So that's been nice. Eating a vegan, plant-based, going into that world and understanding that and how that now really aligns with who I am and my morals and values in life, but also being able to articulate that. I think for a lot of my life, even though I am a trailblazer in many respects, I've been dictated that or spoken over by a lot of people because of my disability, because I'm a woman. And now that I'm, nearly 40 and I have a strong sense of self, me now choosing that, I want to be a vegan, that I want to advocate more for animals, has given me such a focus. And also just looking after my body a bit more. My body has always been, I've kind of fought against my body a lot and only focused on when it's let me down. And now that I'm doing strength training and I've physically seen a shift in my
Yeah.
body, I've got like abs coming through.
Yeah, I love it.
And that was never, as someone who's got brittle bones, who's like 102 centimeters, I never thought that I would be able to get definition and do weights. And so that's been like, hang on, you told me I couldn't, and I've just done.
Yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. But to be honest, I love interior design. So just decorating my home. Everyone says to me, my cats, they blend into my interior. One of my best friends, Kieran, he's like, do you know that your cats like are perfect for your interior? Was that like?
Well, it was the other way around.
And I was like, exactly. I was like, I genuinely didn't.
Subconsciously.
So yeah, if you're into interior, my home account on Instagram is Wheelie, as in a wheelie, good Reno.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's more for fun. It's not an account but it's just that's my happy place. So if you follow me on there, I won't be following you back because I only follow home interiors. I think sometimes on social media you need to have a space that's just pure
something
bliss.
else. Yeah, something else.
So I love interiors, but honestly, it sounds corny. Just cuddle in bed, just cuddling.
Yeah.
With the floofs.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I am interested though to see why you became a vegan. And the reason why is that when I got Chubbs, so he's been with me for 9 years now.
He's like, yeah, I mean, you called?
Oh, he's like, just turns his head.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Very nonchalant.
You called, mummy? I decided within the year, I can't eat meat anymore. And it was because I looked at his body and I could see all the cuts of the meat and I was like, I can't do this.
But that's what I did with Lola. So Lola's 6. So I've been veggie for 6 years.
Ah, okay. Similar reason
exactly.
Then. Okay.
But also when I got Bruno, seeing the different personalities, so different that I was like, I always knew that animals were sentient, and I always, and as an empath, I felt that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I talk about being an empath, and this is, I spoke about this. I'm sorry if this is triggering for anybody. I read a story. I love goats. And someone who follows me on Facebook has pet goats. And one of them was pregnant. And essentially what happened, someone came in, thugs, youth, idiots, and slaughtered the pregnant goat. And they shared this story. And I read it. And I don't even know these people properly. And I felt the emotion of the mother.
Yeah.
I felt the fear and I felt the panic and I felt the selflessness that this goat felt when she was being butchered. She's like, my baby.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me so much. And that's how, when I talk about being empathic towards animals, I feel their fear.
Yeah.
You know? And so me becoming vegan, and I don't get it right all the time. I'm learning. Genuinely, I'm learning. I'm trying my best. But for me, it's just a natural progression. And I just think that I don't believe that anyone's superior to anyone, irrespective of how small or big. And I think, as humans, we evolve, and so should our morals. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And it's an internal thing. For me, it was very internal.
Yeah,
but
it's
actually,
visceral, isn't it?
It is. Like, I didn't have control of the feeling that I had. It was very much like you said, I saw Chubbs' personality. I saw when he was up, when he was down, and I'm like, how am I eating an animal?
But I mean, even sorry to get really down that, and I'm not normally a preachy person about it because I just think each to their own.
Same.
I don't want to be wearing
pro-choice
placards.
Absolutely.
But for me, on a spiritual level, the way we kill animals, because they know they're going to be killed, because they're not stupid. Like pigs are like the third most intelligent animal in the world. Like we talk about dogs, but pigs are more intelligent than dogs, right? And they know they're going to be murdered. And just think about it, even if you don't care about the animal, think about what you're putting into your body. You're putting in trauma into your body, fear. And it's proven it. So even if you're a scientist and you don't believe, there's scientific proof that, the endorphins that go into the blood, it makes for bad meat. It can make for bad, that's why they stun them beforehand, blah, blah, blah. But you can tell by the marking of like a sirloin steak or whatever it is.
The hormone release.
The hormone release, it's not good. And I just think, why would you put that energy into yourself? The world is already a dark place without you adding to it. But also, it's hard because I'm not a foodie. So like that instant gratification, not to be graphic, for me to go on the toilet a few hours later and for what?
Yeah.
You know? I'm just like, what? It's not about survival anymore, is it?
No.
We're not cavemen. It's not, you know.
Yeah, the needs have changed. Needs have changed.
We've
okay,
evolved.
I thought I'd ask because for me it was very much like, no.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm totally pro-choice.
Yeah.
I do
No,
not.
absolutely.
Yeah, if people want to eat meat, that's fine.
The only interesting thing is, because I'm on the dating game, I'm on like a vegan dating site, which is interesting within itself. I don't know how I would feel now about... I'm not saying I need to date a vegan, but I would definitely have to date a vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I'm not quite
I've literally
there yet.
I've gone from like this like amount of men to like this amount of men. So basically, it's you and me, Chubs. If you're game.
The pot's got a little bit thinner.
I mean,
a bit smaller there.
And my friends actually joke about it, going respectfully, like, your disability puts a lot of men off to begin with because there's that bias. You know, you've now like moved to rural frickin' Lancashire. That's even worse. Now you've become a vegan. It's like, Samantha, why would you? I'm all in. I'm like, if nothing, I'm committed.
You're committed.
I'm committed.
Committed to your values.
On that note.
Committed to your values.
The thing is, but I think this is why I'm not scared, and this is serious. My mum's really scared of me being single and alone and all that stuff. And I'm not, and I think that's the power of animals.
Right.
I'm not scared of being on my own. I'm not scared of not having children. I'm not scared of being not in a relationship, because I always know that I have such a strong, beautiful relationship with animals. Don't take this the wrong way, that came out a bit, but you know what I mean. Like,
no, I
know,
understand.
like, I don't feel like that void.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't.
But there's a lot of women, for example, that have dogs or cats, and then they decide, actually, I don't need to have a baby.
Yeah, but aren't we gaslit though?
We are.
Crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
Or
and
crazy dog lady.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like wow, you know.
We're just getting the love, the conditional love that's just pure, beautiful and amazing. Yeah. And how lucky are we?
And on that note,
we're super lucky.
On that note, I've got a train to catch.
Yeah. So tell me, any projects coming up, anything excited that we should be looking out for?
So a few years back, I wrote my memoir, You Are the Best Thing Since Sliced Bread. So I speak a lot about Tessa and my love for animals and my dad, and, you know, his kind of love of animals. I'm also an ambassador for Fern Animal Sanctuary. So if you are in Somerset, go and give them
some love.
Give them some love. I think for me, honestly, I don't think there's anything crazy happening at the moment. One thing I love about my job is that you can just get a random call from your agent and it's like, can you go and do this tomorrow? So there's nothing insane happening at the moment. I am doing a lot of public speaking. I love to do keynote talks. I'm quite, active on social media. I'm going to be starting up with Sunday Morning Live again. That's starting up soon. That's where we met.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's being freelance is always a bit like roller coaster. Yeah. But I'm just loving doing more for. So Veganuary have just asked me to be one of their vet ambassadors.
That's amazing.
So yeah, just doing, like I said, more for animals now, and seeing how that law of attraction is happening and opportunities are happening. These are real passion projects for me.
Yeah, I love that. Samantha, it's been wild. It's been amazing.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Chubs,
been
you
great.
can go out now, baby boy.
He's like, where are we going to go? We're going to a vegan restaurant, Chubby, for lunch.
I want to snog.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. So thank you for what you're doing and creating awareness and holding this space for love.
Yeah, it's all about the love.
We're not going to be that corny. What was that really, really corny with Meghan Markle and that other lady? And everyone was making fun out of it because the lady was like, so lovely. Just so lovely.
No, we're cooler than that.
Yeah, we are cooler than that.
We're cooler than that. Samantha, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the Dog Mom podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And this is in memory of Tessa.
Yeah, Tessa. I'll show you a picture now, actually.
Thank you. Thank you.